Hi Gemini, welcome to your Capricorn season reading, mid-December to mid-January. Happy holidays, happy new year. Let's go. First up, we're talking about married couples. So if you are in a secure, loving, faithful relationship, and you're wondering what Capricorn season looks like for you, fortunately, unfortunately, there's a lot of conversations going on. May even be some arguments, some very tense discussions. All of it is surrounding a few questions that you have, and they've arisen from you feeling like perhaps you're not being valued. So, top of your list, reciprocity. It's a conversation that's going to come up. If you've been together for a long time, one of you may feel like the other is not pulling their weight. This conversation doesn't have to be tense. It doesn't have to be anything more than a loving nudge in the right direction. This is something you could also do by perhaps being even more giving than you've been, and hopefully your partner learns from your example. If patience hasn't worked, if teaching by example hasn't worked, and you feel like you absolutely need to say something, don't be wishy-washy about it. It won't get you anywhere. Be direct if you feel like there is a lack of reciprocity and you don't want to, rock the boat because you've been together so long and you just don't want to create problems. Not saying anything and waffling about it will create problems. This is not the energy that you want. You don't want to play with another person's feelings, especially when they're deeply committed to you. So, lest they feel like you're toying with them, just be honest with them. And if it's the kind of situation where you're like, yeah, but it's not enough to really make a discussion out of it, and I don't want it to turn into a huge fight, then don't let it. Say what you have to say and move forward. But there's more on the chopping block. It's not just about reciprocity. Something that perhaps requires a conversation with yourself, a little introspection here, would be, do you still feel the way you felt? How do you feel about your partner? Are you being honest? If you were to meet them now, would you have the same level of attraction, the same level of pursuit, love, commitment, etc.? Do you like who they've become in the interim? Or did you like them more when you first met them? Who they were then? The questions are for you. But if you're having a hard time gauging what's leaving you unsatisfied with your partner, I think these questions may lead you to the answer. Sometimes it's not bottom of the deck. It's not about anyone doing anything wrong. It's about living to your fullest potential and wanting to be with someone who's also living to their fullest potential and therefore reciprocating in a way that is worthy of you. Because someone can reciprocate in the way they know how, and it could just not be enough. In some cases, it may even be damaging. So when we speak on reciprocity and that being this ongoing conversation, there are some of you who may decide that the level of that reciprocity just isn't enough, and that person isn't someone that you quite like still. And perhaps you haven't had a chance to really be honest with yourself about how you feel. Now, Mercury in Sagittarius and the retrograde that just ended has a lot to do with this. It's hard to lie to yourself as a Gemini when Mercury's in Sag. You can be sad, you can be upset, you can formulate plans. Things are changing, you're adapting. But there is a freedom in moving away from something or someone who doesn't gel with your heart anymore. Now, if the answer to these different questions, including are we moving at the same speed, if the answers are positive, if the conversations are positive, then I think that you're not in much danger of upsetting your relationship. I think it becomes a question of keeping your partner abreast of the changes that you're making, and especially when it comes to your goals. As you're changing goals, as you're choosing between all these multiple futures, it can be an unfair question to ask your partner, like, can you keep up with me? Are we at the same speed? If you don't allow them insight into your life and, which way you've made that hairpin turn, whichever way it is, that's okay. You're allowed to be exactly how you are, but you also need to allow for them to plan around that. The way that they have to maneuver being in a relationship with you is much different than how you are allowed to maneuver. You're allowed to be an impetuous child in many ways, while your partner, again, this is if you're in a stable, loving relationship, they pick up a lot of slack and they have to be the grown-up a lot of the time. So that question of reciprocity, make sure that you're having a fair conversation about that. That question about, are we at the same speed? Do we still mesh? Make sure that you're asking that question from a very honest place where you're also taking into account how flighty and changeable and mutable you are and what it really requires. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. What does it really require? How does it mold the other person and into who they become, what role they take on in the relationship because of how you are? Be fair. Be fair. Now, Mercury retrograde's over, Jupiter's in retrograde in your sign, and Mars is in retrograde in Leo. Okay, so another point of introspection here. Really, this is just meant for you now, and this is not something that you should bring your partner in on. Are you designing your life and making plans for the future with your partner in mind? Have you left any room for who they may want to be? I would like to ask that question in a way that makes us seem less selfish, but I can't. What I have written here is, how do you really feel about them? Because I understand the urge to hold on to a star. And now we're talking about people, let's shift into people who are in a situationship or unclear about where they stand. Let's say that you either went out with a Gemini and now you can't figure out what happened or where they've disappeared to, or as a Gemini, you're in a relationship with someone, doesn't have to be an Aquarius, but someone that you're trying to, get your hands on, and they seem to slip out of your grasp. You can't really seem to get on the same page. If there's a lot of uncertainty around a romantic connection, it's very possible that you're holding on way too tight to someone that you're ascribing all this star power to, and they don't really have it. I think this is something that you do when someone is unsure about you, because it plays into your self-loathing. So if somebody doesn't immediately fall head over heels in love with you, which usually they do, mashallah, that's how we are, instead of moving forward and just, shrugging it off and, okay, well, everybody's got different tastes, we can start to ascribe a bevy of qualities to that person who is seemingly rejecting us and really build them up in our mind while simultaneously developing an almost like limerence type of relationship with them, where we really lock in the more that they treat us as, an option or disposable, or just have no care for what's going on with us. So for those of you who are being neglected and don't feel fulfilled, don't feel secure in your connection, are you doing this? Are you building somebody up in your mind as something glorious and almost unattainable simply because they haven't fallen at your feet? Because this can lead to extremely toxic relationships if that person decides to turn around and give you a chance. I hate this entire narrative, but if they decide to do that, but we've all been here, so it's okay, no judgment. They will have so much control over you for the duration of that relationship. Because even though you're not in a relationship yet, you've already chosen which characters you're going to play. They've already chosen the black cat, and you're just a golden retriever running after them, and this is not what we want. So no matter how counterintuitive it may seem right now, open your hand, open your arms, open your heart, and let them go. If they are the star that your self-loathing is making you think they are, then they'll be smart enough to come back around and grab you. Because you're the fucking Milky Way, baby. They're just a star. And only because you put them up there. All right. Let's keep going. Now, Mercury stationed direct on the 15th. Today we're feeling the full effects of the full moon in our sign. And we have Mercury dancing with this retrograde Mars that's come up already here. So the most important thing for you right now in your communication for at least the next 2 weeks, just watch your tone. If you feel down on yourself, don't project that onto other people by talking down to them. Don't be disrespectful. It can get like really miserable really quickly if you allow whatever's going on in your romantic life, from confusion to serious conversations, serious partners, to just feeling like you're in a drought and you can't get out of it. Do not take any of what you're going through and internalize it to a point where you can't have any access to it, and the only way it can come out is by being rude to other people. Because it's very normal for us to behave that way when we feel emotionally stifled. That will lead you mouthing off to the wrong people, or just mouthing off in general and being rude, and especially if you're demeaning, it can really stain your reputation. And if your business relies on your reputation, as all business does, then you can put a serious dent in your economy. So being very mindful of your tone from now until the end of December. Just if it gets to the point where someone is saying or doing something that's triggering something that's going on with you, or a way that you're feeling already, bow out. Because you feeling bad will quickly lead to you saying something that will make other people feel bad, that will rebound onto you and make you feel 10 times worse than you already feel. And right now, you're not even just feeling bad, you're just feeling insecure. So we don't want to do anything that will take you into that next place where you also feel rejected by the people around you. It's the worst. Okay. Now, if you know that you've been disrespectful, apologize. If it's already happened, apologize. If someone has been disrespectful to you, they should apologize. They will apologize. Give them time. Don't make it worse. When they do apologize, just accept it and move on. Now, for those of you who are single, we have the Six of Pentacles and we have that Libra card. So, and we have the Three of Cups and the Hanged Man. So quite some cards that we don't usually get. Very interesting. So when it comes to being single, there's something that you need to understand. And it has perhaps kept you stuck for a long time. And now 'tis the season to get unstuck. Okay? Up until very recently, like yesterday, you may have deeply believed that people are attracted to you because of your sexuality, because of your sexual prowess, because you can put on such a good sexy show when you want to, because when you're in the mood, you can exude sexuality like a Scorpio, you can fuck like a Taurus, you can be crazy about it like a Sagittarius, you can be freaky like a Virgo. When you want to, you can turn it on. And so I think you've drawn whatever strength was lacking in self-image and value and worth. I think you've balanced those scales of lack by being, let's not say promiscuous, but definitely hypersexual. Hyperflirtatious, hypersexual. And I think the most jarring thing about Capricorn season is that you realize that that's not really what attracts people to you. That's the mint on the pillow. It's like to us, it's like, no, but like I'm so proficient in it. No, but you don't understand. No. Venus in Aquarius will teach you, will show you, will bring you somebody who is genuinely interested in the things you're interested in, genuinely likes the things you like, genuinely wants to have conversations with you about things that are not a lead up to fucking. They just want to talk to you. But in order for them to actually get to talk to you and for you to meet someone and have a genuine connection with someone, you have to be yourself. The reason, if you're single, that you feel stuck, a drought, I said earlier before these cards came out, is because the person on display, the person who's trying to attract someone, is not real. It's a hodgepodge of what we think people like, what we think people are attracted to, what we think makes people stick around, but it's not real. In some cases, it's highly sophisticated character. In others, it's crude. The only thing they have in common is it's not real. And it creates stagnation. But when you're real, sure, not every interaction with someone you like is going to go the way you want because it makes you more difficult. But it will attract somebody to you, especially in a work domain, who is so into you simply because of how you behave. Because they see how you really behave. They see how you really dress. They see how you really talk. There's no affectation. So the one piece of advice I can give you as a single Gemini is to be so uncomfortably, casually yourself that you forget anybody's around and you're just having a conversation with yourself or your sibling or your best friend. Talk to people as if you already know them. Don't wait for them to have to go through the gauntlet, or as my younger brother used to call it, the Thunderdome, to get to know you and actually get to the part of you that's so compelling. Don't make them wait for that. Don't make them have to dig through all the nonsense to get there. Just be genuinely, authentically single and yourself, and don't look for anyone or anything. Wear what you want, say what you want, say it how you want, use the voice you want to use, and let the chips fall where they may. And if somebody's really into it, great. And if somebody's really offended by it, great. There is a huge change coming for us when it comes to people pleasing anyway. With Pluto moving into Aquarius, we don't have the capacity anymore, to just tell people what they want to hear. We've been doing it for a long time and just can't do it anymore. So this is as good a start as any, right? If you are being pursued by somebody who would like to be in a relationship with you right now, just be very careful. Get some kind of a read on this person when it comes to their integrity and how they are with accountability. If you have any doubts as to whether they really like you or if they're a person with integrity, if you have any doubts about their past, if you have observed anything that would give you pause when it comes to their level of responsibility, again, integrity, their good nature, just cancel. Don't entertain this. If you're single, it's so easy right now to get wrapped up with someone who has ulterior motives. Fuck, man, it could be that it's December, and it's fucking cold outside. It could be because guys are douchebags. It could be because, that girl just wants one more person to play with. Whatever it is, if you're single and you're a Gemini and you're being pursued and you're being pushed into starting a relationship or getting really intense with someone quickly, it's very possible that this person that's coming on strong has no accountability. And if you dig into their past even a little bit, you'll find that they leave people, chronically leave people feeling very betrayed. Okay, so if you're like, radar has been going off about someone, you find yourself really drawn to somebody, but something in you is like, I've heard this song before. You have heard this song before, and this song sucks, and it's not for you. And that brings up an interesting question, because it's like, fucking hell, then what's for me? Let's talk work and money. Let's look at all these cards and talk work and money, because we have a lot of drama going on in terms of work and money. But in a way, it's very comforting, because as a single Gemini or as someone in a situationship, if you ask yourself, like, what am I doing all this for? I'm being patient. I'm putting in the work. I'm working on myself. I'm trying to be outgoing. Now you're saying, don't start anything new, or you can't trust these people. You can't. All the patience that you have displayed, all the moments where you bit your tongue and were more polite than you needed to be, all those moments where you acted like somebody else, because maybe that person would have more value compared to the person you really are, and something you learned a long time ago when you were a kid, that you had more value when you put on a show. All of that is painful, and we've been carrying it around for a while, and it's beginning to heal. And that healing, depending on your other placements, is going to take time, more time, less time, but it's still, there's time there. There's healing and there's time that needs to be taken. And in the meantime, there's so much money to be made, to be managed, to be secured, to have fun with, to grow, to lose, to gamble, to, not that I would advocate that, but as much as we would like to be cozy and cuffed up at this time, I think our larger journey and our evolution is really important. And even when we get lonely, we don't lose sight of that, because the fruits of our labor and our evolution are constantly, available to us. We see ourselves getting prettier, smarter, faster, richer all the time when we put the work in. So your romantic life is the same. Don't lose hope. It's just that your romantic life is different than your financial life, only in that it has this other person's destiny rolled up with yours. Whereas with finances, your destiny is your own. Until, of course, you hook up with someone who has bad financial luck. But we can talk about that in another time. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're in a situationship or if you're single, let things go. Let things progress at a very slow, natural pace. And if it's any faster than that, pull back and become very suspicious. Because you can't be rushing into anything right now. There's so much to be done in your personal life, not your romantic life, in your personal life. There's so much that needs to be looked at in terms of your physical and mental health and needs to be taken care of. That, it's good to get this love stuff out of the way at the beginning of the reading, because yes, it's important and we all want to know, and it's, it's intriguing. But as a person, and not just, one part of an equation, there's so much good luck, potential, opportunity. It seems a shame to waste that on grasping towards someone or something that you think will fulfill you, when really all they are is this kind of flashing beacon pointing towards what you can't seem to create within yourself to fulfill you. And if we were able to look at people in that way, as scepters, these kind of ghostly apparitions of what we wish we could give ourselves, what we wish our parents or our caregivers had given us, what we desperately wish silently somebody could teach us to feel on our own. When we come across someone that we think can give us that, it's so hard not to grasp. It's so hard not to get attached. It's so hard to feel rejected by someone that you feel is finally giving you something palpable, when everything just seems so nebulous and not substantive enough. It's even more painful to be rejected by that person or treated like an option, or it's easy for the mind to immediately start to deify that person and put yourself down. But it is a pattern that has to break. It is a habit rooted in self-loathing. It is not a reflection of who you are. It may be a reflection of where you've been. That's okay. but you owe it to yourself to see through it, get past it. You owe it to yourself to see people as independent of you, with their own mind and their own wants and their own heart and their own feelings, and have the grace and the self-confidence and the self-assurance to let them be ambiguous about you if they want to, and let them be overly affectionate and pressuring with you if they want to. Neither of those things should determine, neither of those behaviors should determine whether you commit or not, or whether you obsess or not, regardless of what anyone else is doing. The point is, regardless of what they're doing or how they're trying to make you feel inadvertently or purposefully, the point is, your response and the way you mitigate your feelings has nothing to do with them or what they've done or what they're doing. It has everything to do with how you feel about yourself. And how you feel about yourself will be greatly impacted by your ability to manage your finances, make money, have the money to beautify yourself, have the money to luxuriate. So we seamlessly now move into more practical ways to build that self-worth, and how money, finances, working environment, mental health, physical health play into that. So let's look at that in the extended. I love you. Happy full moon. You know, they're saying there might be like a nuke or something somewhere in Central Park or in New York somewhere, in New Jersey, and that's what the drones are about. And I was like, damn, I better hurry up and do the Gemini reading.